Tears, joy, frowns, disappointments, everything nice and some not nice in equal measure is what dominated the sporting events in the past weekend. In as far as the English Premier League, or just to make it as a whole, the European leagues dominated the faces of many fans around the world. But not forgetting that there were no sporting actions in as far as FKF Premier League is concerned, because they had gone on a break because they were looking at the international break that is happening this week, whereby Harambee Stars was preparing for their AFCON qualifier matches, and most of the players in the KPL are in their squad. So welcome, this is the Scoreboard with me, Mike Odipo, and of course, I'm not alone, I'm with a friend, with my friends here, the gang, comprising of not so new faces to us. And please, it will be good if they introduce themselves first. So guys,
yes,
welcome to the show.
So do I start or do you start?
Ladies first.
Ladies first.
All right, so ladies first. I'm Cynthia Nanjala. I'm a journalist with EBN TV. I'm also a very, very big, huge sports fan in Kenya and beyond.
Nice. Kenya and beyond.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rodney Farith. I am a sports analyst and I am a very, very huge fan of soccer, specifically.
Yeah.
And welcome to the Scoreboard.
And if you hear someone mention soccer, you know that one is American English.
That's an American.
That's an American English, of course. And most of us we are used to football because of the colonization by the British, right? So. Welcome officially to the Scoreboard. So talk to us on our social media platforms at EBN TV on Facebook. We are on YouTube also, so we are streaming right there. Share the link to your friends so that we can have a conversation around the sporting world. So welcome officially today. So my guys.
Yes, please.
Let's
get this show started.
Let us get this. I know you're so charged up.
Mimi niko na mambo mengi ya kusema, so I'm just waiting for my time.
And I've been looking forward to a day that you'll be here on that side especially. I've tried to force my people.
I'm making an appearance.
Of course, it's not your first time, but I've been looking forward to having you on that side.
It's good
because
to be back.
you're an amazing sports person. You love sports so much, and having you here is a privilege to us.
Oh my, don't make me cry.
Welcome
please.
so much.
Asante.
Don't worry, I'm not going to put you so much. Now, let us start off hapa tukiwa nyumbani at home there. Like in my intro, I've said that the FKF went on a break because they were anticipating, but they're looking forward to the international break, whereby our national team will be playing the qualifiers for the AFCON 2025, and most of the squad come from the local league, so that's why they had to go on a break. And now this week or last week there was this a new week. So last week there was a selection. Harambee Stars selection, and the national team coach Injin Firat selected a number of players.
Yes.
And just before we go so much on it, I believe you have the squad there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please mention for us the squad, the whole squad first, just in a nutshell.
Go ahead, Rodney.
So for the goalkeepers, there is Levis Opio, Patrick Matasi, and Brian Omondi. For the defenders, we have Sharif Majabe, Joseph Okumu, Johnston Omurwa, Amos Nondi, Abu Domar, Eric Ouma, Sylvester Owino, and Alphonse Omija. Midfielders, we have Chris Erambo, Richard Odada, Anthony Akumu, Kenneth Muguna, Eric Johanna, Ronnie Onyango, Austin Odhiambo, Duke Abuya, Timothy Ouma. And for the forwards, we have John Avire, Michael Lunga, Jonah Ayunga, Benson Omala, and Victor Omone.
So that is the Harambee Stars squad that was called to camp by our national team coach Injin Firat. And now, if you look at the squad, we have a mixture of home-based local league players and the ones for international players. Yeah. And if you look at the blend in the squad, these are some of the finest we have in the country. We can boast of, right? And one thing I've noted before even we go so much into it, there are some additions and there are some omissions. Before I mention something, the coach said there was a problem. Maybe there's a feeling that Michael Olunga might not be fit to play because of an injury. And also you can speak of Sichenje, former Leopards player, who's also suspected to have an injury, so will not be there. So there are some notable additions and some notable omissions that are regulars in this squad. So I'm going to mention first the omissions that are always on the squad. The first omission was Daniel Anyembe, the fullback. He plays his trade in Denmark. So he's one of the he was omitted from the squad for this time. We have Ian Otieno. And we have Zach Viner. So for Daniel Anyembe, I had the coach say that he requested not to be included into the squad because maybe the league now is in its infancy. So maybe there was a lot of, and he played yesterday. I saw their game, and he provided an assist in this in the club level. Ian Otieno has been dropped because they suspect that maybe he might be having an injury. So to him, the replacement was Levis Opio of AFC Leopards goalkeeper. And I want to speak a little bit about Levis Opio because he's a very good keeper. We saw from in the first game of the FKF Premier League last week, whereby FC won by 4-0 against Mathare United. He was very instrumental in making sure that they get the 3 points and a clean sheet on that. We also have somebody like Zach Viner. He was first called into the national team this year, early in January, but never got to play because there was a tournament early in January whereby he didn't get to play because of reasons only been known to the FKF. And some during my sniffing here and there, it was said that he was not provided for with it's called what the right documents to enable him to play. So there was a problem with that. So he has not been called this time for these qualifiers. So another addition to the team now, we have Sharif Majabe from Bandari, a defender who replaces Chichenje, who is injured. We also have I think those are notable additions. I think so far. Those are. So let us discuss about the squad. Looking at the squad that we have right now, if the ones that our friend has mentioned. Do you think we stand a chance against Namibia? Because Namibia is our first game on the 6th of this month. That is literally next week. So do you think we stand a chance?
Kenya, we always stand a chance. I'll admit we always will have a chance, but it always boils down to whether or not we will have had enough time to train as a team, first and foremost, to train as a team, because we have players on actually very different leagues. You've got some who are beyond our country's borders. You've got some here. So the first and important thing, obviously, Firat is trying to make sure is that he has a team that can properly play together and coordinate very well. Now, this squad, for me, it's a mixture of very experienced players and perhaps those who are still being integrated into the national team. There are those who've made just a couple of appearances. The likes of Matasi or Lunga have been there. They've been doing this. So he's just trying to make sure that eventually, when it gets to that point when we say, okay, Olunga himself decides, he's had enough, or for whatever the reason, there'll always be somebody who can as well play just as good as he does.
Exactly.
So this squad, for me, I think it's okay. Not okay, like really, really okay, because they're the best of the best we have in Kenya. So they stand a chance to play against Namibia. They'll have to put their best foot forward. Because about these qualifiers, or at least what we are playing for, AFCON 2025, is a very big test. It's a huge test, not just for 2025, but also for 2027.
Exactly.
Putting in mind that we are the co-hosts of 2027. So how we play in this tournament will really dictate how better we also play in future tournaments, especially international tournaments. Putting in mind that we missed the last AFCON because of the issues, obviously, that were there. So it's a huge, huge test, and I really hope that they pass.
Very nice. And there's one thing I want to mention here. Like I've said earlier, that there's a fear that Olunga might not take part in these qualifiers because there's a fear of an injury on him. And looking at the forward line, we have somebody like John Avire. We have Benson Omala. Exactly. So do you think they can fill the shoes of Olunga in his absentia?
I have no doubt, in fact, with Benson Omala that he can really, really fit the shoes. I want us to get to a point in Kenya where if we're missing Olunga, let it not be that, hey, now we've missed Olunga, what do we do? Tunaanza kupanic. No, we should get to a point where even if Olunga is not there, we know we can get the job done because we've got some of the best strikers within the league. Benson Omala, who finished amongst the top scorers last season. So he's got very much all capabilities. The only difference is maybe that Olunga plays in the Asian League in Al Duhail, and the people may not really be able to come to terms with the fact that maybe we alikuwa hapa Kenya, alikuwa anacheza Godi. I think it's recently that he moved to Tanzania, if I'm not wrong, to play for TZ. In TZ.
Benson Omala, I think he's gone to a team in Lebanon.
In Lebanon?
Yeah, it's in Lebanon. And there was an issue with that because I'm going to this because I'm going to an issue with the mental state of a player. Recently, after his transfer, just 2 days after the transfer, he was back in the country. And there were some speculations that maybe, Lebanon is not, as a country, is not stable at the moment. There are wars in Lebanon right now. So we're talking about the stability in Lebanon. And after 2 days after his transfer, he was back in the country, and people were speculating that maybe the transfer did not materialize, but later on the team that he signed through confirmed that he was back in the country because of the national duties. So do you think that can affect the mental state of a player? Such stories outside there, can they affect the mental state of a player and in turn affect his performance of the national team?
There is a possibility it could be a hindering factor in terms of his performance, but then again, we also have to consider the aspect that he's a professional player.
Exactly.
So I don't think it could be a very big issue in terms of how he will perform. Hopefully not. But wish him the best as he performs his duties in the national team.
Exactly. And there's something that Cynthia has mentioned here about having a team for the 2027 feat, whereby it will be hired here at home, in the home soil. And there's something about integration of the younger players into the national team to make them, to have that, to prepare them enough when that time comes. Now, in the last tournament which was held, the COSAFA that was held in South Africa, there was this guy, this defender from Nastic Sports, anaitwaje nimesahau jina yake kidogo. Is it Wanjala or somebody? This defender who participated in the World Under 17 Sekafa the last time when they reached in the final. Nimesahau jina yake kidogo. He was integrated into the squad in the last tournament in COSAFA, but is not in the team for these qualifiers. But now we have players like Rooney Onyango, who has been a regular, despite his age is so young, but he has been a regular. Do you think that this coach is doing enough to integrate young players into the team to prepare? Because I believe in 2027, most of these players might have hung their boots.
Yeah, because it's like 3 years from now.
Exactly.
Anything can happen in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do you think the coach is doing enough to bring in a new crop of players who will be ready to carry the burdens of the national flag into that tournament that will be held here in Kenya? Do you think he's doing enough?
It's not just about Firat when it comes to choosing a player, because obviously he's got a technical bench, he's got advisors, got people that have the best interest of Kenyan football at heart. So it's not just him to make a decision and say, oh, I want Mike or I want Rodney to come to the team. It's also a question of just the consistency. As a young player, do you have the discipline first and foremost? Because it's one thing to bring in a player who is very talented but has no discipline. But do they have a discipline? Are they people that can be counted upon? Are they consistent? And we don't want to have too much pressure on a young player, because if you're having too much pressure on a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, chances are they're likely to derail along the way. So it's very important that he gets young players, yes, but not too much pressure on the young players themselves in terms of I need to have young players in the squad, because it puts unhealthy competition for the young players. So Firat, is he doing a good job in terms of bringing in young players? I think he's doing the best as he can as a national team coach. And if you look at the trends in various national team, you'll always get the youngings mostly at maybe 2, 3 or 4. If it goes too much, 5, but mostly it's always the experienced players who are a huge number. You get the youngings at maybe 2 or 3 people, and I think that's a good number.
Profound there. And looking now, coming from the back of a tournament that we came second, do you think a team like Zimbabwe, we played against them and we won in the COSAFA, but now this one is a different feat here. We're talking about the qualifiers of the AFCON now, because like you said earlier, we missed the previous AFCON because we had that ban, So it was not done on. We didn't miss because we failed to qualify for the pitch. It was a ban, but now. Before this AFCON, we were in AFCON, the previous one, okay? So, and the performance there, we only had one win.
Against TZ, actually.
Against TZ, of course, our neighbors here. Now, if you look at how AFCON has grown since that time when you qualified, if you look, I bet you watched the last AFCON.
Yes.
You watched it, right?
Yes.
We watched teams like Senegal, we watched teams like Algeria's and Cape Verde, who shocked everyone. They reached in the semi-finals. Do you think Harambee Stars now as at now, coming from a tournament whereby you finish second in COSAFA, as much as it wasn't all the African countries or who's in the African continent, but you beat a team like Zambia who has an AFCON, who has won an AFCON previously. So do you think Harambee Stars is ready for this AFCON?
I wouldn't say we are 100% ready, but I believe that the team is really trying to be ready. And I wish that we could get friendlies with some of the top like 5 teams who finished, you know, if you rate them in terms of how they finished the ended AFCON. If we could get friendlies with the Ivory Coast, if we could get friendlies with Morocco, who by the way are performing like they're at their peak right now.
Exactly.
I believe it will really help us understand where we are in terms of how we are defending, how we are doing our midfield, how we are scoring goals. Are we a perfect team? It will really help us in terms of just gauging where we are. But I believe these friendlies that we are playing are not all in vain. It boosts our morale. When we win, it boosts our morale. Tunajua, kumbe we are doing something. So more needs to be done. I don't want to hear stories about players who are not receiving their allowances. I don't want to hear stories about players walikwama sijui wapi. I don't want to hear about stories that a player got injured and was neglected. Those are the things that derail us very, very far. If you look at these top teams in Africa, just the technical bench, the types of medics they have, the type of, support they get even from the nation itself, that is what we are supposed to be doing. It's not just about them going to play, also the support behind them, because it's teamwork. It's not just about Olunga on the field or Benson Omalo on the field. It's also about the guys that are supporting them. Are they getting that enough support? Wanalala usingizi mzuri, not worrying about allowance itaingia ama haitaingia.
True, and that one comes down to preparations now, and preparations are determined by how the management, from the FKF down to the coaches and everyone around them. Recently, we've had this in the FKF leadership. There was a problem about leadership wrangles and cases of corruption in the league. But now, right now, we have a new CS for sports and Murkomen right now. And in one of his, when he was being vetted, he talked about doing away with these corrupt leaders in our respective federations. And one of them is football, because football is one of the bodies that has been having so many controversies in as far as out of the pitch or management is concerned. And right now, we are looking at an election in December of the FKF. And the incumbent leader right now, who is Mwendwa, people have been complaining about him because in the case of corruption and everything about preparedness. And right now we are going into these qualifiers, these qualifiers, but we haven't had, since the time, since COSAFA, we haven't had Harambee Stars play another game recently, you know. We've had a 1 week preparation, of course, but now we didn't have maybe a friendly to gauge the players on the levels how they when you're so like you've said, preparation. Now, do you think the leadership wrangles that are within the Harambee Stars right now, because every time you hear about somebody has gone to court to stop something, because there were court cases for stopping about the elections, so we still have they had a meeting on 24th of August to develop a framework on how they are going through to elections now, how they are planning everything to the election date, which is December. So, do you think such things will affect the Harambee Stars, or do you think they are in a good place to compete despite all the noises around them?
Okay, such leadership wrangles are quite unfortunate to have for our national team, and there's also the aspect of corruption, considering that we're not even in a position to host the competition that we're playing in because
we don't have
our pitches are not up
to standard
compared to maybe other countries, which is very, very, very demeaning to our country. And now that we have a new CS, I'm not sure how much faith I have in him, but hopefully
you're a Gen Z, I understand.
Hopefully he can do some he can bring in some difference to the sporting
fraternity. But now, on to another thing that is very controversial about Harambee Stars right now. Recently, they unveiled new jerseys. Sithi's laughing. I believe there's something else. So there was so much controversy around it. Some people felt that maybe the jerseys were not appealing. Some people felt like about the models who were modeling on the female side, on their starlets. There was no single player from the Harambee Starlet side who modeled those uniforms. But if you look at the male side, it was modeled by male players, like the Harambee Stars players. What do you feel about that, Cynthia?
First of all, for the men's side, they did a good job because at least those are faces I know. Yeah, that's brilliant. No problem. My question is, what happened to the female squad, or at least to the Harambee Starlets? Because you've got a good team of Harambee Starlets players. All you had to do was get them on that. I mean, it's our uniform. We are trying to own it as a country. I have no problem with influencers. Let them do their job influencing etc. But I would have loved to see players of the female squad within those pictures. Let the influencers do the job of now spreading it and marketing and doing all that digital marketing. It just doesn't bring a good picture, because assuming somebody from England or from South Africa sees that picture, they'll be expecting to see whoever is on that picture on the pitch. But they're not there. So let us just own our things. We are saying buy Kenya, build Kenya. Then why don't we have our own players modeling for the kids? If you look at the Olympics and what happened, the pictures that were being circulated over the uniforms, they were for the players. But the mistake was also in terms of, okay, for the fan clothes, it was fans, that was okay. But the Olympics, normally you'd find that those guys that are participating are the ones on the pictures. So let's just stop this bad behavior of trying to feel like we don't belong or we don't deserve. This is our jersey. Let us have our female players wearing those jerseys. Because
I'm trying to look to think, what picture are they trying to show, or are they putting out there on our female footballers? Because there's something wrong here. Because
I mean, when I was seeing Patrick Matasi makeup touch here and there. I mean, they're trying to say they can't do that for the female squad.
I was wondering, because it's like you're trying to say that our female footballers are not appealing enough to model their own jerseys, because you cannot do that for the male and fail to do that for the female side, And what do you think about the jerseys? Are they good jerseys, or do you think it was a below par job, or it was in terms
of the design, I feel like they could have done more. It looks a bit too plain. They could have done more. I'm yet to feel the fabric of the jersey, but I hope it's a good fabric. But essentially, if you compare it with Ivory Coast, if you compare it with Morocco, we are still not yet there. I don't know, is it because we are lacking sponsors? Can't we get sponsors? Because much more can be done. It just feels like something that somebody said that we want green, black and white, you put it there. But concept of designing is just a whole lot. Our guys in media would understand what stage design and everything design is all about. So it's a huge concept, because you look at the culture of Kenya. What is it about Kenya that we can integrate? What is it about the people that we can integrate in this particular cloth? So designing is not just you pick green. What is our color? Green, black, red. Put it there. No, it's just a whole concept, and it feels like for this particular cloth design, they didn't really think about it. Somebody just woke up and chose those colors.
True. What do you think about it, Rod?
to add on the design, I'm okay. To be honest, I don't really like them. The Arsenal away kit looks more Kenyan than
the Kenyan
kids. So I'm not really sure what the designers are thinking. They're just plain colors, and then let's throw in a bit of the banding to look like the Kenyan flag. So it's very, very, very...
It was a below par job.
And it's not like we don't have designers. We do.
We do.
And that is quite unfortunate. And it gives us the vibes of the Olympic. There's an Olympic attire that brought about too much crowds around.
And Kenyans made noise, and it was changed.
And it was changed, Do we need to do exactly that?
We need to do it. By the way, if you're a football fan and that jersey is not just entering, say something and do something, because we can do better. He's given a good example. The jersey that Arsenal, is it their third kit?
Yeah, the third kit.
The third kit that they have, it's just brilliant. You see, that somebody sat down and said, now this is how we want this design to be. Also, I'm calling on sponsors to come aboard. Let us have not just plain t-shirts, but we've got big brands. We've got Kenya Airways, we've got Safaricom, we've got Absa Bank, we've got big brands that can publish their names on those jerseys. And it just brings a picture of us. So they've also got sponsors. But if you look at those jerseys, we're just there.
And this is Tembea Kenya.
We've got brands that can sponsor. For the Olympics, they had so many sponsors. I don't know why for football it's just different. Because for the Olympics, they had so many brands. I don't want to mention them, but they had so many brands. And the same can happen for football as well.
But at the moment, I wouldn't fault any brand, because if you look at the leadership in the FKF, maybe it is not
Could be a big factor as well.
It's a very big factor. So I wouldn't invest my money in a place where I feel like maybe it is going to be swindled or used in the wrong way. So that one we can be on the sides of the sponsors. But now, I want us to talk about the Harambee Starlets under 17 that qualified for the World Cup for the first time. It is the first football team from Kenya qualifying for a World Cup. We need to clap for them. We need to clap for them. Coach
Mildred
Cheche, sorry, amazing job. And now, seeing something like this happening, and you know, in Kenya, let us face it, this is the truth.
Yeah.
The support for a female side, in as far as football is concerned, is not as heavy as compared to the male side.
Yeah.
Maybe you are improving. I'm saying it's a big maybe, but this is a fraternity that does not have enough support. But you are seeing it qualifying for a World Cup for the first time ever. What does that tell the FK? What does that tell our leadership in as far as football is concerned?
It needs to tell them that for the men's senior team, for the women's senior team, for the men's under 17, means they also have a chance to be at the top in terms of going for the World Cup, in terms of being at the African Cup of Nations, both for women and men. It just shows that we have got talent. It is there. My only prayer, by the way, right now, is that the guys at under 17 level would be managed properly.
Exactly.
So that there's a good transition from the under 17, perhaps to the under 21, then eventually to the senior team. Because if there's no that proper transition phase and management, these talents, it will be sad in like 5 years when they've turned, you know, over 20 or whatever, or over 18, we're not seeing them. I believe the same scenario applies for the men's under 17 as well. A couple of years back, they were doing so good.
Exactly.
But what happened? Are we seeing them right now? So my only hope is that this particular under 17, first of all, we want to congratulate them. They've done good. They're going to the World Cup. At least we've got a World Cup name in Kenya somewhere in the football world.
Of course.
And it's a big test because they're in Group C. So it's a big test because they're facing England, they're facing Mexico, they're facing Korea.
And those are the top teams when you talk about female football.
Yeah, very top.
So it's a very good challenge for us. And Rodney,
Yes.
we have in recent times, in recent years, you have seen a there's been a rise in the female football side. They have been rising like each year, year in, year out, and they have been representing Kenya at very high levels, and they have been playing so well. And there's something I want to touch on here. If you look at both this female side, they have been coached by female coaches. If you talk about Mildred Cheche, if you talk about Beldino Demba, and what does that tell? What does that tell you about the local coaches? You know, especially the female side. Like a female coach has taken a Kenyan team to the World Cup.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something that you see every day, especially in Africa. Because if you look at in Africa, most female teams are coached by male, by men. You know, even in our leagues, in our local leagues, most female teams are coached by men. What does that tell you? What message does it pass to the FKF about female coaching? Female coaches. Do you think it is high time female coaches started coaching even the male side?
Yeah,
possibly. we might have to involve them into our men's teams. But to begin with that, it is very encouraging to see our women, especially on the football side, coming up as compared to maybe our men who haven't really brought us to that level before. And as Cynthia said before, I'm really hoping they're going to take them seriously and actually manage them in a way that these talents won't be lost after just a few years. Hopefully we're going to see an actual improvement as time goes on. The group is quite tough, but we hope for the best, and we wish them all the best.
I'll see that also this question also because it touches on the female side, because I need to hear your contribution on this. Do you think it's high time? Because there was a time, England, it was rumored that England, The England
is going to have a female coach.
It's going to have a female coach, the male side, and it brought a lot of uproar from people. Some people felt like no, it's not right for women to coach a male side because maybe they might look down upon her because she's female. Others were in support of it. What do you think about that, Cynthia?
For me, first and foremost, a couple of weeks ago, Jacqueline Juma became the first female coach to head a team in FKF Premier League because she will be the head coach of FC Talanta. So it's proving the point. They can do it. Just if you're able to go to school, get your coaching licenses, get that experience, work under experienced coaches, understand the know-how of the game, you are good to go. You're able to coach a top team. But to specifically stick with the under 17, for us to have female coaches, actually for the women's side, not just under 17, to have female coaches who are being in charge of the teams and just being at the top of it is a good show. And I really hope that for the men's side, we can be able to emulate that. As Cynthia and Angela, my view is that we really don't always have to go out and get coaches from outside coming into Kenya to coach. I have nothing against those that have coached before. They've done good, at least in their own capacities. But also let us get to a point where we understand that we've got coaches in Kenya who have gone to school, they've been able to get those licenses and they can coach the national team. So for the ladies, they've done good. They've proven that point. I don't see that trend changing anytime soon. That we're having a male coach coming to do the women's side. I don't see that trend changing soon because they've proved the point. Like, give us an opportunity, see what we can do, and so they've done well.
Very good for them, and it's an amazing feeling. I don't know. I felt so well when I heard that when they qualified for the World Cup. It was something that was. It was unheard of in terms of football. And
I remember there was a debate that came up because if you look at the timelines of when the tournament will be played, the national exams may be somewhere there. And I remember somebody said, national exams will always be there, but the World Cup comes once in a while, of which it is true because it comes every 4 years. So if it's not this time, who is going to wait another 4 years? Who knows whether we'll qualify another 4 years? So for those that are under 17 and they're having the national exams, I mean, you go play. For the parents, just let those kids go. I'm sure there will be an arrangement that will be made with NEC and they'll be able to come back and do the exams.
Because qualifying for the World Cup is not a guarantee.
I mean, let me not hear anybody say, "Oh, my kid is going." I will go to that house and take that child myself. But let's just encourage parents to support their kids.
Exactly. The parents should support, and the government should also come in with measures to be able to sort such things in the future. Because if it has happened this time, there's a possibility that it might happen the next time. So they should come with a framework on how, when such happens, there's a seamless preparations and everything, so that they don't have a divided attention. They avoid that divided attention, because right now we might be talking about a player thinking that, should I do an exam or not? If I do exam, will it cost my talent, about my chances of maybe my talent being seen out there? So we should avoid such things. They should have a framework of how such things should happen in case such a thing arises again. So thank you so much for everyone who is watching us.
Just a bit, Odepa, I wanted to mention this before you move to the next thing, but if you look at the teams in the group, we are playing Korea, we are playing Mexico, we are playing England. So there's some facts I wanted to put across. Number one, Korea are two-time champions, World Cup champions, even though they have not been in the tournament for the last 6 years. Mexico are the 2018 finalists.
Exactly.
England have qualified twice for the World Cup, but they've finished 4th and they've been to the quarterfinal stage. So that means we're meeting two strong teams and one team that may also be just trying their luck.
Exactly.
So if we can get it right, we can even get past the group stages.
Exactly. And with the talent that the coach has assembled, we trust that they are going to represent us so well, and we just wish the best of luck to them. And I pray so much that there should be no interference in as far as leadership is concerned, because we have a very good squad, we have a very good coach, and the technical bench as a whole. So the FKF should do their best to make sure that these players and the fraternity, the whole fraternity of that is handling these players, they have a very good preparation, and everything should happen as it is supposed to be, because we believe we have professionals in leadership in FKF, and they'll make sure that a good environment is provided for for these players and the technical bench. And we wish them all the best on that. And thank you so much for everyone who is tuned in. We are so appreciative of you, and you have said that you can speak to us, bring in your contributions on our social media platforms. We are at EBN on Facebook. We are streaming live on Facebook right now, so you can go to Facebook, comment, share, just bring your contributions, and we'll be happy to read them as time goes by. Now, if I look at my time, I would want us to go into a short break, and when we come back, we nawapeleka moja kwa moja mpaka ugaibuni as one of
kule maju.
We want to go straight to maju because one of the fans during the week aliniambia you take a little time speaking about the European leagues, because you know most people are focused on the European leagues, and so they feel like we give it a little time. So that's why today I want to add enough time to discuss each and every game, from La Liga to the EPL to the Bundesliga. So a lot is coming your way, so let us go to a short break. When we come back, tunawapeleka moja kwa moja mpaka kule ugaibuni.
An architect, engineer, designer, or a creator looking to take your projects to new heights with the most powerful and innovative design software on the market? Cardline Limited has got you covered.
We are an authorized Autodesk partner in Kenya.
We offer our customers a wide range of Autodesk software which cut across construction, manufacturing, product design,
and general engineering drafting services.
We also offer software training to help you make your design exceptional by learning AutoCAD, Autodesk Civil 3D, and Autodesk Revit. We help you improve your skills in MS Office applications through tailored and in-depth training for Word, Excel,
MS Project, and PowerPoint,
including proficiency in internet and email. For training, you can come to us or we can come to you. We also provide printing, scanning, and general cyber services at friendly fees. Partner with Cardline Limited today and experience the power of Autodesk software firsthand. Visit our website at www.cardline.co.ke to learn more about our special pricing for new customers, or call us through 0719 222 946. You can also email us through info@cardline.co.ke or visit us at Blessed Hope Center, Rabai Road, Buruburu. Cardline Limited, building skills, shaping careers. Refreshing Times is here. Join us every Wednesday from 8:30 p.m. on EBN TV as Bishop J.B. Masinde of Deliverance Church International Umoja brings you messages of timeless wisdom, spiritual guidance, and heartfelt encouragement to uplift your spirit and renew your faith.
You are not what people said about you. You are not what you do. You are not what you wear. You are what God says about you. Somebody say amen.
Refreshing Times, where faith meets life. Only on EBN TV.
This is EBN TV, transforming.
Are you craving something sweet to brighten up your occasion? Look no further. Juliet Occasion Cakes and Bakers Limited has got you covered. Discover a world of delectable treats that will satisfy all your needs. We take pride in our from-the-scratch recipe and time-honored baking techniques passed down through generation. Indulge in the sweetness of life with our delectable occasion cakes, from elegant multi-tiered wedding cakes adorned with lifelike sugar flowers and delicate piping, to whimsical kids' birthday cakes in the shape of their liking. Our handcrafted creations will make every moment memorable. Birthday cakes, corporate cakes, graduation cakes, wedding cakes, baby shower cakes, holiday cakes, bridal shower cakes. For orders, you can call or WhatsApp us on 0725 038 177. Juliet Occasion Cakes and Bakers Limited, aspiring to make your satisfaction our topmost priority.
Welcome back, our esteemed viewers, to this to the scoreboard here, and one gang member has joined us officially.
Yay.
So you're almost a full house. Welcome, Manu.
Asante, asante.
Beguna.
You need to be punished for coming late.
Mtanisamee.
Natuambia kwa nini walidraw.
You come late because of the draw.
Yeah.
You're not happy.
I'm not happy, but it's just the third game of the season. So hakuna auteti sana.
And na kwa hiyo your spirit, you're not being happy. Let us now go straight to the EPL as I promised. Now I want Cynthia give us the results of the EPL first before we continue.
Yeah. So we'll begin with the first game on Saturday, Arsenal versus Brighton. It was an all draw 1-1. Arsenal, of course, with a red card reduced to 10 men.
Exactly.
We had Nottingham Forest versus Wolves, 1-1 draw. Leicester City versus Aston Villa, 1-2. That is 2 in favor of Aston Villa. Ipswich Town, the newly promoted, versus Fulham, 1-1 draw. Brentford versus Southampton, 3-1. Everton versus Bournemouth. This was like I'd say the derby of the weekend because of the comeback, obviously, and Bournemouth winning 3-2. West Ham versus Manchester City, Man City winning 3-1. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace, an all-1 draw at Stamford Bridge. Newcastle versus Tottenham, 2-1, and Tottenham wajanza poa. And then Manchester United versus Liverpool, obviously the game of the weekend as well. Liverpool 3-0, and one thing stands constant. Mohamed Salah will always score against Manchester United.
Exactly.
That was not necessary. Somebody might be paid. Now, thank you so much, Cynthia, for the results. Now, I want us to talk about the first game in the weekend. That is Arsenal, which was playing against Brighton. And amazing game of football.
Yeah, amazing.
With a little bit of controversy.
Yeah, not even a little. That's a bit.
Too much.
I'm saying a little because I need somebody to get paid. Now, there was so much talk about that game. And one thing I was sure about, it was going to be a tough game because Brighton was just from beating Manchester United the previous weekend. Arsenal was just from winning against Aston Villa. And if you look at this game now, it was projected to be a very good game of football, and it turned out to be. I am saying it was a good game of football because if you look at the reactions after the game and during the game, it will tell you that. What do you think about that game? About the game, Emmanuel? Because you're first an Arsenal fan.
Yeah, it was a good game. First of all, of course, these two teams, both of them have had a good start this season. Both teams wameshinda, both 2 games. Brighton wameshinda, Arsenal wameshinda. So this game, Arsenal versus Brighton, was a huge game for both teams who will keep that 100% record going on. Of course, it ended in a draw, but it was a good game. The first half, I saw the way the team was playing. Of course, Arsenal was strong. Brighton walikuwa strong, as in Arsenal dominated, but Brighton walikuwa na zile unapata one-time chance. And it was like end to end. Of course, Arsenal scored in the first half. And going into the second half, of course, kulikuwa na controversy. Yani, second half imeanza tu na ma stories mingi. Declan Rice, of course, got a red card, but it was all it left fans divided. Also, analysts, legends. Even I saw a statement from a former referee. I don't know if it was a Premier League referee, a former referee said that wasn't a good decision. Ata John Terry alisema not good decision, as in imeacha a lot of speculations, division in that fan base Arsenal. Kuna wenye wanasema Declan Rice alikuwa na try ku deny that free kick to be taken. Kuna wenye wanasema bado the ball was rolling, as in a lot of things. So it was a controversy, but good game. I can't say much. I sitateta sana because it's just 3 games in. I can't say that it matters right now because the margins are still close, as in ukilose uko number 11, ukiwin uko number 3, so margins bado watu hawajaanza kuachana. But ikifika huko game week 20, game week 15, sasa ndio margins zinaanza, sasa teams zinaanza kuachana, and that's the time where now games really do matter. Right?
Now in addition to that game as a whole, talking about that game Cynthia as a whole, let us talk briefly about officiating in EPL.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time we've been having this conversation about the poor officiating on EPL referees. What do you think about it in addition to everything about Arsenal, that particular game?
Right. Obviously, being one of the best leagues in the world, it will have its moments. And sometimes you'll think, oh, VAR is a good thing. When the decision goes against you, you'll think VAR is such a bad thing. When the referee goes against your decision, you'll say, oh, that referee is bad. But if they make a decision that favors your team, you'll say the referee is good. So football is about moments, you know, it's about moments. And so the question really Arsenal and all Arsenal fans should be asking themselves was, in that moment in time, whatever happened, does it serve to their benefit or does it not serve to their benefit? Debates will go on, not just on EBN TV, but also in England. I'm sure right now on the streets, people are still having conversations around whether or not that red card should have gone, you know, against Declan Rice. But aside from that, it did not really overshadow about just how good of a game that was, putting into consideration the background performances of Brighton coming into that match. Obviously, they won against Manchester United, and also Arsenal, the game I believe, which was previously, they also won coming into that game. So these are two teams that had the right mentality in terms of physique, psychologically, they were well prepared. Brighton coming in to know that this is a team that finished second last season, so they could not have come to that game under-prepared. They came very well prepared. And Brighton is such a very well-coordinated team. It's one of those teams that, you know, they always just miss getting into the UEFA Champions League. They miss getting into the Europa League, but they're always such a good team. And for me, they lived up to the expectations. And I'm actually looking at the statistics because they had 65% possession against Arsenal. They had more amount of passes, 471 against Arsenal at 270. So the red card overshadows the fact that to some extent, Brighton were actually the better team than Arsenal. It's just that Arsenal had more shots on target than Brighton.
Good. And Rodney, I want us to talk about two players as far as that game is concerned. There's this player called, let us call him the rejuvenated Kai Havertz. And now let us talk also about Welbeck. In the previous game against Manchester United, Welbeck was one of the stars in that game. And I'm inclined to say this: when Welbeck sees Manchester United, he becomes a prime Ronaldo. But when it comes to that team, he becomes like a normal Welbeck. Now, let us start first with Havertz. What do you think about Havertz? What has Arsenal or Arteta done to Havertz to guarantee such performances that is giving very good performances since the almost the end of last season, and now carrying on the form to this season in these the last 3 games? What do you think about him?
A lot of people were kind of bantering Havertz for being a not so good player.
Exactly.
But deep down, I feel like people actually knew there was a player inside. And Arteta has a reputation for, as you've said, rejuvenating players. We've seen it with Trossard as he came from Brighton. We've seen it with Martinelli a bit, Saka, you know, Declan Rice. So Havertz is a good player, and he has been backing it up from last season, and we're seeing it still this season. And
what about Welbeck?
Like he can still keep going on that road. About Welbeck,
Because truth be said, I didn't see so much of him in that game against Arsenal. What do you say about him?
I feel like he was a bit overshadowed by João Pedro. I'm not sure if it's because of the positioning or could be it was just the tactics from the coach, maybe, but he kind of got lost in that game. He ghosted a bit, if I can say so. But he's still possibly one of Man United's worst nightmares.
Of course, and that's why I say.
I don't know.
And that's why I'm saying when Welbeck sees Manchester United, he becomes a prime striker, one of the best strikers ever. But when against other teams, I think it's just a card. Simpendi sana. But now,
can say maybe Manchester United don't have a good defense.
No.
Against Welbeck.
Particularly Welbeck.
Yes, Welbeck, because Welbeck. See, I don't know why when he plays against Arsenal, he doesn't punish Arsenal.
He chickens out.
Yeah, maybe akona huruma kidogo. Lakini with Manchester United,
I wonder
when he plays against Manchester United, maybe anafunga ama atakama hatafunga, he will have an impact into the team.
Exactly.
So Welbeck is a good striker, despite his age. You know, he's been in the game for quite some time.
For some time, yeah.
So you have to give him credit for where he is right now. There was a time when he was in Watford and he was trying to rejuvenate his career as a player. And of course Watford got relegated and he moved to Brighton. That's why I think under De Zerbi, he kind of shoot. And despite his age, despite his past his prime, he's still playing good and he's great.
And let's talk about Brighton a little bit briefly. New coach in Brighton, but now look at Brighton. The traction: won against Manchester United, drawn against Arsenal. These two are one of the best teams in England, if I can say so. So, what do you think about Brighton right now? Do you think they are able now, if they continue playing like this, do you think they are able to break into the top 4, or at least play in the Europa?
Well, like what I can say. First of all, before talking about Brighton, you have said they have played against Manchester United and Arsenal. And there's one team they faced had 10 men, and they didn't win against.
No. I know where you're going.
Look, there's another team that had 11
with 11 men.
Yes.
We had 10.
The fans can do the guess.
We had 10 players.
Actually,
Casemiro wasn't
Brighton
there.
has always been a big nightmare for Manchester United. That's just
Exactly. Even last season, it has been. It has always been.
Yeah. So coming back to Brighton, first of all, you can say the way they have started the season under the new manager. First of all, you'll just say it's still a long season. It's just 3 games. You can't judge from just 3 games. You just have to wait for the season to go. But the way they have started under a new coach, it's you can say they can be into that picture of. I can't say top 4 because top four it's not guaranteed. Top 4 kona wao, but hapo kwa European place, whether it's Europa or Conference League, they can manage. They can get that.
Do you know I brought that up because every game matters. As much as you're saying that it's very early in the season, but each and every game matters. It brings you closer to the league, each and every game. And you have seen right now it has got no loss. It has 2 wins and a draw, just like Arsenal.
Yeah.
And this is Brighton we're talking about. And the way the fixtures are, they started by the baptism by fire. For a team in the level of Brighton, starting having in 3 games you're playing against Manchester United and Arsenal, it's baptism by fire. And you have seen that they've performed well, despite the fact that maybe Arsenal were 10 men, but still. The end result matters, you see? So that's why I'm thinking maybe Brighton can be one of the teams, the shocking teams of the season. Maybe I think if they continue the same traction, because at the end of the day, these 2 games gives them confidence. Coming into the next games.
Right.
I feel like maybe we can, speaking of a Brighton that can come, the same way Leicester started in the season that they won the league. Yes. Nobody thought about Leicester winning the league. Nobody. When they came in from the relegation. But you see, they took each game with seriousness, and the performance they were not even winning by big margins. It's just 1-0, 2-0 until they won the league. So I feel like maybe if Brighton continue the same traction, they can be one of the teams formidable teams to compete in the league, if not top 4.
They can.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah, and you know, for like Brighton, they've always, like I've said, narrowly missed out on the Europa Conference League. Narrowly, they've always missed out. Also domestically, the domestic titles, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, they've always just really been there, but not really gotten to that, you know, stage where they can say, okay, now we are competing for leagues or for the titles domestically. So in my view, from where I sit, in the next one, it could not be this season, but maybe in the next 1 or 2 seasons, they could actually get that UEFA Champions League if they really stick to you know, proper coaches, if they stick to the players that they may have, or even have a few additions. They're such a good team. They're actually a big, not just for Man U, but they're also for Chelsea. They're like a big headache for us, because normally it's either they beat us, or we are taking a draw, or we are just narrowly winning that game. So they're such a big nightmare, not just for Man U, but for a lot of teams. No one goes into a game against Brighton and think, oh, we're going to just win it easily. Maybe Man City can say that, but for most teams, they just know this is a team that is so good, and they've got very good players. Actually, they've got very good players, and they have the capability to compete for either Champions League or the Europa League or the Conference League.
Thank you so much. Now let us talk on this particular game. Last week, as we're finishing about this particular game. Where did Arteta go wrong in this particular game? Where do you think Rodney Arteta went wrong in this particular game?
I don't think we can really blame Arteta. It was more of a consequence of actions.
Yeah.
Considering that Rice got his red card at a very crucial time of the game, which was right after the halftime, and now with a man less, and Odegaard kind of seemed a bit off. Okay, could be it's just me who noticed, but he wasn't at his very best, and he eventually was removed before even the 90 minutes were over. So I don't think we can really fault Arteta. It was more of just the team performance. And they weren't really at par or up to speed, if I can say so.
Cool. Anything to add on that about Arsenal as we're finishing it up?
Yeah, Kenny Rodney amesema ni ukweli. I was hearing on the post-match analysis, Arsenal versus Brighton. They, even if they tried to push for a win, Arsenal, they weren't at their best. Your point, Rodney amesema Odegaard wasn't at his best. I think he got a knock in the early stages of the game, and that's why he wasn't at his fully best. You can point out players. Even Rice himself wasn't at his best, though there were problems caused in the final third. The standard play in that game, actually there are two, Havertz and Saka. Specifically Saka. Saka was phenomenal in that game, getting behind the defenders with the space and taking them on, cutting inside. He was phenomenal, and I think they could have done better, because going down to 10 men, you'll not have a lot of chances in the match. So they had those kuna zile chances zenye zitakuja, and you just have to take him. There was a Havertz chance. I knew this was going to be a goal, because it was one-on-one with the keeper, but instead he went low and the keeper went low, so the keeper saved it. But if you look at the game, that's why Neza sema I can't lament at the Arsenal drew, because Brighton took advantage of the 10 men and Arsenal held on. We know Arsenal have a good defense, and of course hawajapata clean sheet time, but they were able to hold on to a draw with 10 men, which Manchester United.
Must you mention Manchester United? Let us stick to Now, listen, just to finish up, before the game I saw Arsenal unveil Raheem Sterling. And my question is, where does Raheem Sterling fit into this Arsenal team? Cynthia?
That's the big question. I actually was looking at that video of him on that stadium that day, because it was the last day of the transfer window. So he got that last loan move out to Arsenal. And I was thinking, now who does he bench on the Arsenal team? And I couldn't find any, because I'm thinking, it's just that desperate move that I'm not wanted here. I need to go someplace else where I might actually fight for chance, because for Chelsea, he's not going to fight for anything. The jersey number is gone. The jersey is gone already.
True.
He's not training with the first team. So it was just that desperate move of, I need to find some place to go and to be. And I don't know who exactly signed off on that yes loan move to Arsenal on the Arsenal side, whether it could be Edu or could be Mikel Arteta. I don't know who did that. But let him go. For me, I feel like he still had a chance with Chelsea, but obviously I'm not the head coach, so I can't make that decision. But I feel he still had a chance with Chelsea, but let him go to Arsenal. Let's see what he can do. He's got a tendency of performing very well in some games. In some other games, he's not doing so good. So I'm looking forward to seeing Arteta giving him a chance, and just exactly on what space. Could be the Premier League, could just be the domestic titles, the Carabao, the FA, could be the Champions League. You never know what can happen to a player who's on loan. Wana shine hata kushinda venye wako in their previous club. So I don't see who he's benching, to be honest, because you can't say he's gonna bench Lisandro, he's not gonna bench Kai, he's not gonna bench Martinelli, he's gonna bench Saka. So who is he going to bench?
Maybe I'm looking at the mind of Arteta. Maybe he just wants that. He just wants that squad depth. Maybe
could be,
maybe when an injury maybe arises, and there's somebody like one thing about Salah, he can play on either flanks when needed to. So and Martinelli literally has not been performing that so well as we expect from Martinelli. Maybe he can tap onto that. But now we have Trossard, another question of Trossard. But either way, squad depth is very important for a team like Arsenal, because in the last 2 seasons they have been smelling the league,
but not.
I
can't explain it, but not.
Maybe Arteta is trying to bring in maybe a different type of a profile for a player who has won it before.
Knows that it comes at a time when the games are very crucial.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's an interesting take, by the way. I'm looking forward to see how that turns out.
Exactly. Yeah. And now I wanted to jump to another game here, which was almost amazing, but not. Let us go to Chelsea.
Almost amazing.
Last week Chelsea fans were so noisy. The whole of the last week they were so noisy. And I remember this one guy a Chelsea fan who I work with there, called Kaisi. He was always on my eardrums about Muliona last week. Today I've not seen him though. So let's talk about Chelsea. Coming in from a 6-2 win to now a draw. What do you think about this? Let's start with Cynthia here.
First and foremost, I must admit that Chelsea takes me through a lot of stress. I am always with my doctor consulting 24/7. Like, is this blood pressure okay? Am I doing fine? We started very wrongly, obviously, 2-0 in favor of Manchester City.
Exactly.
Then you come against Wolves, you're doing a 6-2. You're having the likes of Joao Felix, who's new, scoring a goal. Joao Pedro giving an assist. You're having Nkunku. It's giving you hope. It's giving you hope.
Exactly.
And then you go to, because we had an in-between game of the Conference League, which we narrowly made it out of the group stages, and then now you have a 1-1 draw against Crystal Palace. I feel like we're having the same problems we had last season. We just don't know how to score. We don't know how to finish our chances. The chances come, but then they go. Then we're also having defending issues. Remember, we are missing Thiago Silva because he left. So we're having a new centre-back coordination of guys that, like Fofana was out injured the whole of last season. You're having Levi Colwill, who was also didn't play all games, played a couple of the games. You're having the likes of Badiashile on the bench, Axel Disasi on the bench. We bought somebody from Fulham called Adara Bioyo. I was also on the bench. So it's a case of we don't know how to defend, or at least maybe our defenders are still learning how to defend with each other. And then you're also having a case of we just don't know how to score. Nicholas Jackson scored good goals, good number of goals last season. But also question of how many chances did he miss? There were so many. I'd love to see more of Nkunku. I don't know why Enzo is not giving Nkunku an opportunity to start games, because he got injured last season as well. I would love to see more of Nkunku. Cole Palmer for me is just like the standout player always. Every game is either leaving with an assist or a goal. So for me, I have no problem with Cole Palmer. I've got a bit of a problem with the midfield. I'm really regretting why we sold Gallagher. I feel like he still had a chance in the team. He would have done a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we have Caicedo and we have Enzo Fernandez as well. Good critical players, but sometimes I just feel like I'm not seeing Enzo. Sometimes I'm seeing him. Caicedo, I'm seeing him. Sometimes I'm not. So we still have a big problem, actually, on all departments. Let me speak about goalkeeping. I had so much faith on Petrovic, whom we sold, who is actually out on loan. Sanchez missed a lot of games last season. Then he's coming, then he's like the top goalkeeper. I mean, hey.
It is Chelsea.
It's just
Chelsea,
pressure
Chelsea.
after pressure. No, does the pressure increase or decrease?
Yes, it's increasing.
For me, it's always increasing.
It is increasing.
Always. Yeah.
Ronnie, what do you think about Chelsea?
Chelsea are in a bit of a dilemma, as we spoke about last time. They have quite
squad
a
of
lot of
80 people.
talent. However, it's proving to be a bit difficult to decide who is your
First 11.
first 11, who is your backup, who are your, let's say, reserves.
And I think for Chelsea, you should speaking in plural. Who are your first 11s? Backups?
Yeah.
Why me, Lord? Why me?
Because as Cynthia said, they have Nkunku, who is a very talented player, but you look at their team and you wonder, where does he play? You have João Felix, who plays in the same position. You have Palma, who plays in the same position. I know he's a right winger, but he can still play in the 10 position.
Exactly.
You have, who else? Okay, those are the main players.
We have Pedro Neto.
Yeah, Pedro Neto on the left. You have Modric. You have
Literally, you have the whole bunch of
Madueke.
players.
Do you know in every position we have 3 players?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just too much. Okay, it's good squad depth. However,
It's not working for them.
I'm not sure if it's going to work as well as they intend.
So let me tell you let me ask one thing.
Yeah.
We see the willingness of the Chelsea hierarchy to bring in good players into the team.
Yeah.
Right now they have even Sancho, by the way.
Yeah.
You see the willingness of the team.
Almost forgot.
Yeah, willingness of the hierarchy of Chelsea, the leadership of Chelsea, bringing in players. So where do you think the problem is? Is it the coach, or what, or it is just Chelsea?
For me, I think from where I sit, we've got good squad depth, obviously, because we've got players when you're buying up Samengi first and foremost. I need to start from that point. They're very expensive, and you don't buy an expensive player if you don't know the value they're going to bring to your team.
Exactly.
You're going for 100 million player because you know when they come, there's something they're going to give.
Exactly.
Enzo Maresca has come in like such a ruthless coach. He's willing to X out anyone that he feels does not fit in the team. But the question now is, what team is Enzo Maresca building? Is he building an attacking team? Is he building a defending team? I really even can't quite place what kind of team that he's building. That game we won 6-2, I had hope because I saw how they were playing. I saw the connection they had, how they were using the wings. Obviously Palma, the first game played at the wing against Manchester City. We didn't see much of him. Come the 6-2 game, brought Palma back to the position where we're used to. You are seeing the assists, you're seeing the goals. It gives you the thought that, oh, so they can actually play this well. And then you come, you're drawing 2 games consecutively, though in various championships. And so it gives the thought of, he just doesn't know who to put where, because we've not had a consistent first 11 team within the last 3 games of the season. The squad has been different. Player position has been different. One game Modric is starting, the other he's not. Nkunku is there, he's not. João Felix is there, he's not. So we don't have a consistent first 11, which is very crucial. If you look at City, if you look at Arsenal, you can always predict who's going to start.
Exactly.
But for Chelsea, you can't predict who's going to start. Because last week, Nkunku didn't start. This weekend, you'll see maybe he'll start. So that's the biggest problem. He's not really been able to find who exactly is his first 11. And I feel like he's still experimenting on that, of which it's a big, big risk. Because you can't go like this 5 years into the season, you're still testing who's going to start.
And do you think this one is a self-inflicted problem, especially from the hierarchy? Because as much as they are so willing to bring in any reinforcement, but like you've said, what value are they going to add into the team? Listen, Moret, you have confirmed here that in every position at Chelsea there are 3 players.
Yeah.
Do you think this one is this a bulk for Maresca? Because at the end of the day, every player wants to play. And now the belief in people or coaches maybe is that if you feel like there's a competition, so every player will want to prove themselves. So that's why maybe he's gambling with the squad. Because at the end of the day, if you fail to put a certain player, and if you look at the profile of players at Chelsea, both of them are like world beaters almost. So each player would want to play, because if you don't do that, one will be discontented, and that might reflect the whole squad. Because when I'm not comfortable, I start bringing problems in the dressing room, it will affect the others. So maybe Maresca is trying to avoid that, to make sure that everyone gets a chance, and that maybe it's the major undoing for Chelsea.
Yeah, listen, this is Chelsea, He's coming from Leicester City, which was playing championships level. At Chelsea, you don't just gamble with who do I start, who do I not start. And I don't want to see him making the same mistake that Mauricio Pochettino did at the start of last season. And also for Graham Potter, who was also still experimenting on who does he start, who does he not start. If you're going to compete against Arsenal, if you're going to compete against Man City, these are teams that have taken years, to have that consistency. If you actually, I'd still stick with Man City. If you look at last season, 2021-2022, I'd say from there to this point, it's just a consistent first 11. You'll always know who's going to start. And so I'm really hoping that Maresca gets his house in order as soon as possible, because the pressure is going to start kicking in.
Of course.
Very soon you'll start seeing Enzo out, Maresca out. You'll start seeing the protest. You'll start seeing the headlines. So I know he's a man that he says, they did not ask me for Champions League, because he's saying the management didn't ask for it. But the fans are going to ask for it, which eventually means the board is also going to ask that, okay, we've given you time. We need to see something. At least even, win the Carabao, win something, qualify for something at least. And it gives hope. But for now...
So he's in a lot of pressure, because at the end of the day, if you look at the investment in the squad,
it's like $1 billion squad.
Exactly. So the investment, they would want to see something out of it,
Yeah.
And because no investment, nobody wants to invest in a place that will not give out, will not bring about a profit, something profitable out of it. So Chelsea, Maresca has kazi ngumu sana. So nobody really thinks about Chelsea before tumalize.
Me, what I can say, that question you Moliza, what has gone wrong? What is wrong with Chelsea? Is it the squad? Is it the hierarchy? I said nakumbuka nikisema hii stuff. Mimi nilisema tu tangu Todd Boehly aliingia kwa hiyo hierarchy, kwa hiyo ownership, yeah. I think things just fell apart for Arsenal. For Chelsea, because when you look at where Chelsea were at that time, they were just from winning Champions League. Tuchel had established a team, a good team, and I just don't know. It's something had to do with the transfers, and maybe Todd Boehly wants this. Tuchel doesn't want it, and because you don't want it, I fire you, I sack you.
Who's boss?
Yeah, so who's controlling Chelsea? Is it the coach is the one who knows the squad? So the coach, that's his job to select the first 11, not the owner. The owner deals with the club as in at general. So I think, but Enzo Maresca has a big job, Kenya Cynthia Mesema. But if I look at of course the problem is the defense. Chelsea, Thiago Silva leaving, he has left a big gap to fill in. So I think the defense, apart from the defense, for me the midfield is strong. Enzo Fernandez and Moses Caicedo, that's a strong midfield. Of course they haven't showed what they're capable of, but Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo and Palmer the middle, that's a strong midfield. And going to the attack, of course the attack is stacked, and they've brought in Kinaneto, Madueke, Jackson. The problem with Jackson is he's not taking his chances, and I think this is something to Mongelelia the whole of last season. Jackson is not taking his chances. That's why in the market they were looking for another striker, wanting to sign Osimhen, and it never went through. So with Chelsea, I think Enzo has a big task ahead of him, because the season is very long. We have a long season to come, and if he doesn't fix his the problems right now and find that consistency, then utaanza tu kusikia Enzo out, Maresca out, and that's the problem with Chelsea.
There's one thing I've realized about Chelsea in recent times, huh? There's this thing that happens with Manchester United and has been happening for Manchester United for a long time, whereby the former players are trying to bring an input into the team and maybe can bring disorientation. Like the other time I had this player, Nigeria, Obi Mikel. He talked about Chelsea, and there was maybe a retaliation from one of the players. You see, so I feel like such things can disorient a team, because it has been happening in Manchester and you have seen the outcome. What do you think about it, Rodney? Then it comes to Cynthia, because Cynthia, you have to touch on that.
It's very unfortunate to see such scenes, if I can say so, because I mean, yes, you are to the team, and yes, you played, you're a club legend, but you have to be very careful about what you say about the players in your team. You never know how a player might take it, or in any way it might affect them or their name. So we've seen the kind of beef between Jackson and Mikel over, I think, last week. Yeah, and we've also been seeing the same thing at Man United.
Exactly.
Players
for
like
the longest time.
Scholes and
Gary Neville.
It's very unfortunate, and I'm hoping they decide to become a bit careful about what to say, either on media or social media about the players and the teams.
Cynthia, because this touches on you directly, what do you feel about that?
For me, I think former players have no business influencing any decision in the club. Like, you had your time, you played, you're a club legend or whatever the status. Just let it be that you're always, giving just your views, your opinions on what should be done, but not you trying to influence an opinion on a certain player.
Exactly.
Especially for me, I think Obi was out of hand to make that kind of comment against Nicholas Jackson, putting in mind that they're all Africans. So it should not really be that. If I have something to say about Chelsea as a former player, I'll just say it in terms of, I really wish the club would have done this. And then I leave it at that. Let me go be a pundit, analyze from another point, but not trying to say, I really want the club to do this, and then keep on repeating that sentence. It should not be the case, and not just for Chelsea, but I think for any club, especially if I wish they could follow in the example of Alex Ferguson. He remains as a former coach, and that's it. He's never really Alex Ferguson wants this player, let them bring this player. No, he left it at that. He will always give his view about where the team is at, but he's always like showing support for the team. And I think that's how things should be.
I want us to tackle this question briefly. Look, do you think that the mentality of players has come down? Because, listen, criticism has always been there from time immemorial, since the invasion of football, because at the end of the day we have fans who are demanding. But if you look at the yester players, they had no problem with this, because at the end of the day they were performing like week in, week out, despite the criticism. If you look at the current players, this new crop of players that are playing right now, a little criticism, or resist social media, a little criticism, they burst up. It affects their performances, something like that. Let me give you an example of maybe Rashford, or now Jackson, or Anthony. There was a player in the name of Rooney once upon a time, or Giggs in Manchester, because maybe I relate to them directly. Rooney, he was so controversial during his time that there were almost everyday criticism. There's a day he was caught urinating on the walls, and it became so big on social media. Never affected his playing ability. There's a time maybe he cheated maybe on the spouse. Not maybe, it was true. Never affected his playing. Same to Giggs. But right now you see at least something small happens to a player, and it bursts up, and it affects their performances on the pitch. Do you think the mentality has gone down to the players? We are lacking people with mentality of Cristiano Ronaldo's, of Rooney's, of people like Lampard, of John Terry, because those ones are warriors. So what is the problem with the current group of players, and what's the difference? What is happening with these players?
I think first of all, social media right now has a lot to do. Yeah, right now it's very big. When all the cameras are on you when you play. Every person, when you play at that stadium, when you're on the pitch, all eyes are on you. All over the world, they are watching you. So you find that in social media, maybe you have been playing well a couple of games, and then you reach somewhere, and then you have a controversies, and a lot of controversies zimekuwa with players. Kwanza hizi za with girlfriends and wives, hizo scandals, and unapata inakujanga kwa affect in their career. Unapata mtu ana retire ama career yake. We can talk about huyu player Benjamin Mendy of Man City. You can say the likes, unaweza sema hata Icardi, and we can say the list, but unapata, I think the mentality and social media plays a lot because these players are on social media as well. When they look at social media and they see the hate, and most of it unapata kuna racism, kuna hate, ile hate tu ingine yenye you play good, you are cheered. You have a bad performance, people
You're
just
jeered.
turn against you, and social media is very well. I can just go back to that incident here, Euro 2020, when
Saka,
the thriller
Rashford,
Rashford and Sancho, and but you know, hapo sasa ni mentality yako ndo ina matter.
In a span of 1 minute, view just about that topic.
I think I'll support what Manu has said, that, back then social media was different, and now social media is different. So somebody can just say one thing on social media now and just blows up and goes global, especially for these football players. They're human, and so no one is perfect. So if somebody is caught saying something somewhere or doing something somewhere, it should not be a big deal. I remember with what is the name of the player? A Man City player, and he was caught buying a pack of crepes, which a majority of population was against. They were having an agenda against it, and it just blew up. It became such a big issue that they were calling, you should be disbanded from the team, should be denied. And so there's some things that people keep talking about, I just feel like they don't really go hand in hand with the football sport in itself, what it should be. So everyone will always have something against somebody. I may not like Rashford, I may not like Saka, and so because I don't like them, I want to say something bad about them. It should not be the case. Let the footballers live their life. They're humans. They're not supposed to be 100% perfect.
But that comes with being in the limelight. You see, there's a responsibility that is bestowed on you on being in the limelight.
So it's also a question, quickly, it's also a question of how can they handle that particular kind of criticism. And that's why I believe with all Premier League clubs or any professional club, it has a department called Social Support Club or department. This is a department that is essentially supposed to help you go through the bad times and the good times.
Just to add on that, yes, social media has a part to play, but the media also kind of plays a part in the, let me say, kind of destroying the image of football players. We saw it, I think, last season after, I think, Man United lost to Liverpool. I'm not sure. During that period, they were kind of bantering Rashford, if I can say that. He had gone for shopping and someone took a picture of him and there was a headline that Rashford goes shopping in his McLaren. They even dropped the value of the vehicle. You wonder.
True.
I mean, he's earning the money. When you have to enjoy himself.
Just someone who went for shopping at the end of the day. So what part does it have to play? And in terms of the mentality, yes, there has been a bit of a drop-off, but as Cynthia has said, at the end of the day, they're still human. So they have to be a bit careful in terms of the kind of stories they either put out there or whatever they say about these players.
But I've noticed maybe this trend is so big in England, not on the other leagues, because it's very rare to see something like that in Spain or in Bundesliga. So I think the problem is the English media.
Agenda must agenda for English media. I've seen that a lot of time, and I think a big example is like Saka, and just the agenda that goes around when the team loses, when they win, the things they say about him, when he scores, when he does not score.
Exactly.
So for English media, I will not really talk about them because I'm also a media person in Kenya. So for English media, I'll just put a full stop to that.
Let's jump to something else, another team. Let's talk about Man City now. Manchester City. Who will compete against Manchester City?
That's very simple.
You don't say Arsenal, but
Because now, this is a team that season in, season out, they're just they're performing so well, you know. And a player like Haaland, back-to-back hat-tricks.
he's already like the top scorer.
Is there already 7 goals right now?
7 goals in 3 games.
In 3 games, you have 7 goals. Who will compete against Man City? What is Guardiola doing that other coaches are not doing? That's a good
I think for Man City, Haaland, it's just individual brilliance for Haaland, and I think I saw a lot of Haaland in social media when people were at the Euros, he was training and getting prepared for the season, and maybe that's. But Haaland is an exceptional. He's like a complete striker. That's why, and he always gets a lot of criticism. Now that's where to Mongelile topic, you get a lot of criticism but to perform. Haaland, despite criticism, because he has been criticized, he has the fewest touches in a game.
Exactly.
But he came out and said, I just want to have one game yenye I'll have the fewest touches and I score a hat-trick. And as in, there's touches don't matter.
Exactly.
What matters is the goals and the team to win. So, but Man City, I don't see them going back. They have started the season very, very strong. Despite your game here, West Ham, I was watching it. West Ham could have come back. Yeah, West Ham wangerudi. Kwanza hiyo time Man City walifunga, and then West Ham wakafunga tena. I saw this game could be interesting because West Ham is a good side. Let's not overshadow West Ham. They have made a lot of signings, good signings. Kina Somerville from Leeds, Fulkrug from Dortmund, and other players up midfield. As in their squad is very strong. Their first 11, Kudus, Bowen. They are very strong, and they had a lot of they didn't have a lot of chances, but their chances were clear cut. Kudus hit the post, as in it was a crucial time of the game. Angefunga hiyo bao, game ingekuwa different. But of course, Man City, it's like juggernaut of Premier League. But all I can say is, I'll just say this is just 3 games right now. They haven't hawajapata ile test. Of course wamecheza.
Chelsea was not a Chelsea. Chelsea was not a test.
No.
Chelsea is listening.
But
Manu, you better apologize.
no, with Chelsea, your game they hawajapata that good real test. They
have not met Arsenal.
No, I'm not biased on Arsenal. I'm not biased on Arsenal. As in, they haven't met a team like Arsenal or Liverpool that they can say now we can. They are strong. Of course they're strong, but hawajapata that strong side. A team like Wolves, ama a team like kuna hizi mid-table teams zenye Man City wakiface.
Brentford, of course.
Brentford, exactly. So, but Man City is good. It's just the juggernaut of Premier League. Bringing Gundogan back, I have nothing to say.
Cynthia, what is this coach doing that other coaches are not doing?
For me, I think Pep is just a genius. I can't even explain it. He's just a genius. There's never one time I've said this is a weak Manchester City team. No point in time. Even when Kevin De Bruyne was out injured last season, at the start of last season, there was no point I said, now that De Bruyne is out, I don't see them, competing for all I'd say the treble. They've always just been top. And I think it's just like a perfect match when now De Bruyne is starting, now Gundogan is back, you still have Bernardo Silva there, you have Rodri there, you have Ruben Diaz there. Even if Alvarez left, I don't feel the gap that now Alvarez left, now that there's a gap that has remained behind. So this
came in?
Yeah, so this is the best way they could start the league. They have kept like a clean start. They've won all their 3 games. They're at the top. The question is now who's going to topple them from that top position that they're in, they will not want to lose that number 1 point at this point. They want to prove a point. And if the point is we can lead from the start to the end, I don't think they're going to relinquish it that easily. So not much I can say about actually Manchester City. They're playing well. They're scoring goals. They're having a good team. They're a strong start to the season. Obviously, Pep always looks stressed. Even if they're 4-1, he looks like something is wrong. But they're doing it. That's for me, like that's the dream team. I don't even envy being a Man City fan because football is about having those blood pressure moments. I don't think they always have.
They're
those
so bored.
moments.
They're
bored. I mean.
Anyway, they're only two as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like City are now at the point where Man United were. I feel okay. And
2013 and
a couple of years ago.
Under Ferguson. And considering how much people hate Man United, I now understand why. Because
you hate City that much.
We ruined a number of childhoods, so now City are now kind of doing the same thing.
Exactly.
So they're just too good. At the end of the day, they're just a perfect team. There's nothing you can really say about them. They have a very good manager and a very good system that works for them, unlike many other teams in the Premier League.
Yeah, and then it's also about the consistency, It's also about the consistency. You count how many times Ruben Diaz, Rodri, actually I'll start from the goalkeeping position. You count how many games Ederson will start, Ruben Diaz will be there, Nathan Ake will be there. You count how many times Rodri is going to be there, Bernardo Silva, Kelvin De Bruyne, and definitely most likely Haaland. Not most likely, obviously Haaland, and most likely Jeremiah Doku. You count how many games they will start that kind of format, and then you tell me if it's not the consistency.
Consistency is very important. So this one is on a light note. Are we looking at a future whereby Manchester City will be the most hated club now in place of Manchester United? They have said
possibly. I mean, I feel like
people hate success.
Yeah, I feel like they already are because they've already smashed a number of Manchester United records.
The Champions
They've
League
already won the treble.
Yeah.
They've won the Premier League 4 times
in a row.
Only that. They've never done that.
Only that.
3, I think. So they possibly already are
You are hitting Man City already, right?
I think the only record that City are struggling with is the Champions League. I don't know if it's the Champions League curse, but that's the only point they have left to prove. I don't think they've got anything to prove in the Premier League. You've won the number of times you've won. You've done the treble. What else? It's just the Champions League.
But right now we are praying that maybe the 115 charges come into fruition. December comes very early and they go to the relegation zone. At least we need a rest.
You wish.
I'm speaking many people's hearts here. Of course, I hate Man City. I have to. Now, let us now go to the. Before that, I want us to touch briefly. Let us touch on the Newcastle versus Tottenham game. I want us to touch on that game because I feel like Tottenham had a good game last week, right?
Yeah.
And then coming now to face Newcastle and they lose to Newcastle. Newcastle winning against Tottenham. Does that tell you that Newcastle now has found itself again?
When I look at this fixture, Newcastle versus Tottenham at St. James Park, Newcastle, Newcastle will win. It's like kuna venye tu Newcastle ina own Tottenham as far as playing at St. James's Park. Ukiangalia the last 3 games, ukikaunti Newcastle wameko on top. And with Newcastle, what I can say about Newcastle, kuna times wameko na injury problems which affected them last season. Last season ndo walikuwa in the Champions League, and they had to endure that injury problems because they're in the league, the Champions League, kuna domestic cups. So kuna venye tuliwahinda and it brought them down. Hata ukiangalia where they finished in the league last season, it affected them, but Newcastle is a strong side. What Eddie Howe has done at that team, and now this guy has returned, Tonali. Alikuwa na hiyo ban
after the ban, exactly.
The ban.
He performed so well in the.
Yes, performed very well. So and Joe Linton back from injury as well.
Of course.
And of course, Alexander Isak at the top is phenomenal. He's a complete striker. there's a time you wanted to sign Isak. That shows you what kind of a player he is.
By Arsenal standards. But now
Newcastle as a whole, acha nimalize Mike. Newcastle as a whole, naweza sema hiyo team inaweza kickstart season yake from that. Tottenham of course inconsistency.
Of course.
We'll be talking about it all the time, but it was predictable for me. I knew Newcastle would win
this one.
Yeah.
Cynthia, what can you say about Newcastle and Tottenham?
This is just like a derby on its own for the bragging rights, obviously. But I feel like Tottenham need to do more. I don't know. I'm not feeling like Tottenham is a challenger this season. I don't feel it as I would have felt and said, oh, you know, Tote is always there. Somehow they're always going for the top 4. They're always going for, you know, the domestic titles. But I don't feel them this season. However, for Newcastle, I think they've got a game in Isak. Obviously, for me, I always feel also like Kieran Trippier, the defender, is always having good games. He announced his retirement from international football recently, but he's always having a good game. And Eddie Howe, I know he always gets that team going somehow.
Exactly.
And I hope that they get that Champions League spot this season. This season, actually, you can't even predict because every team is like, you know, it's just the start, so it's a bit too early to say, oh, they should get it or they should not, or they will get it or they will not. So it's a wait to see, but I think they put such a good performance against Tote.
I don't think Cynthia should be praying for Newcastle to get a spot in Champions League because you'll be losing out.
Oh
now,
my goodness.
Yes. Chelsea will be losing out. Now, listen.
My Lord, why me?
Allow me, no, I will not allow you to do because of time. I want to talk about Manchester United and Liverpool. We're going to start from that. That's why, you know. So, Manchester and Liverpool, what happened? What is the problem with Manchester United?
What happened? A lot happened. A lot went wrong. I'm not even sure where to start. There was an issue with a bit of the tactics. There was an issue with individual performances. But
on the side of Manchester United,
primarily, but our number 18. The guy who has number 18.
The
guy who has number 18. I will not even mention him. Because yesterday he completely threw the game away. I don't want to just point fingers, but at the end of the day, it's the truth. He cost us the game. We conceded the first 2 goals because of him.
Exactly.
He put the manager in a position where we don't really have a backup midfielder, defensive midfielder, considering that Ugarte wasn't
registered on time.
Registered on time.
Yeah.
So he had to throw in Collier in there. And he wasn't really prepared for a match of that magnitude.
Exactly.
So anyway,
I know it's sad for you.
The Saudi window is still open. You can still.
You want Casemiro
out? I mean, yeah, we have Ugarte now. He can hold that position. But
and
let me not hate him. He's still a Man United player.
Exactly.
So, now touching on a bit of the managerial tactics. Again, a lot went wrong. You look at the stats after the game, the passing stats. I saw a passing stat, or rather a graph, of where Man United were playing and where Liverpool were playing. We were playing primarily in our own half.
Of course.
We only had 3 players, that's Rashford, Zagzi and Bruno, in Liverpool's half, whereas Liverpool were primarily in our own half. So that it speaks
a lot
volumes in terms of the kind of tactics the manager is trying to employ. He's trying to employ two different playing styles at the same time. He's supposed to be implementing a high line, but he wants to play a low block. So it puts us at a very precarious position. Yeah.
Cynthia?
For me, I'll start first by recognizing the new players on the club, obviously. Matthew De Ligt and Zach who, for me, I think has got a bright future if he keeps playing the way he's playing. Now, I'll speak about 2 goals. The first goal, which Trent Alexander-Arnold scored before it was ruled that Mo Salah was offside. Then Trent scored that goal. That same goal was what Brighton scored as the winning goal. No one was marking whoever is behind. And that is something that should have been like a big red flag for Eric Ten Hag to say, okay, there's a bit of problem on how the wingers are marking the players. You know, as a defender, you don't just score on who is ahead. You also need to look who's behind or who's coming. That's how best a defender should be. So before that goal, obviously, eventually was ruled out, but that should have been a red flag that there's a big problem somewhere. Then obviously for Casemiro, I was listening to the commentators, and the commentator, I think it was Jim Bagley, who said that, you know, at this point, Ten Hag wishes that Ugarte was just on the bench, substitution immediately.
Exactly.
Because he lost the ball. If you look at the goals that were scored against Man U, it's just he was losing the ball at very critical points and very crucial processes. You cannot lose that kind of ball when you know who Liverpool are.
Exactly.
The way they see each other, I can't even describe.
And the speed with the
and the speed of the counter attack.
Exactly.
You lose that ball, it's Mo Salah there, Diaz there, or somebody's there. That's a goal.
And Jota was
also. Goal. That's a goal. So there should be questions around the defending tactics, especially for the wingers. I have no problem with at the center because I know Lisandro Martinez is always on the ball somehow. So it's very hard for him to lose a ball. But the question should be on the far flanks, because that first goal that was scored and ruled offside and the winning goal for Brighton, it's same goal. Okay, not same goal, but
all
just
the same, yeah.
All the same, how they were scored. No one is watching the player at the back. They play the back. How can a player get a ball? It's just empty net. It's just the goalkeeper.
Of course.
That should raise huge questions along the defense line. And then for the striking, I noticed Garnacho wasn't really quite in the game.
Exactly.
It's like he was very much isolated. Rashford was really trying to come back, take the ball and be at the center. Zagzi still feels like it's like he's getting used to it because he wasn't really controlling the ball, giving the ball, not giving the right passes, missed passes. So there's still so much work for Man U.
Briefly.
Briefly, okay, I will be brief. I promise you, Mike. I won't dwell much on Man U. I'll dwell on Liverpool. But of course, Man United, the goals they conceded, I think just they came from mistakes, from specifically the midfield. Ata boy Atatu, Maino was bodied so easily, and that's how they scored the third goal. For me, I think Manchester United just have to strengthen their midfield. Of course, on a sign Ugarte, and we'll be seeing much of him right now. But Manchester United, I know Ten Hag has a lot to improve. Zagsi, and he had chances.
Especially two very crucial chances. But of course, he has a bright future. Of course.
And his presence as well. And you know, the way Ten Hag has started this season without a striker and Zagsi is there, you know, Manchester United needed that. Of course, they lost to Liverpool, but now going forward, they need that presence of a complete striker, a striker. And Zagsi is a different kind of striker who will get the ball, he can dribble, he can head, he can score the head, he can. They have to use him. Another thing, I was surprised Ahmad didn't start because when he came from the bench,
changed the game completely.
He changed the game. He was, if Manchester United could score, it could have come from him.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I have just one point to add. Sorry, I felt like Casemiro was giving Kobe Mainoo a lot of work. A lot of work. Because there was a time he had to win a ball almost 3 times consecutively, and you want your midfield to be like a team. Let it not be Casemiro, Mainoo. If you lose the ball, you know, he gave Mainoo a lot of work, and I really felt it. And I know there's much better they can do. Okay, for me, I know Manchester United is like a title contender kind of team, but I don't know if it's a Premier League title contender. I feel like it's maybe Carabao, FA Cup kind of title contender. That's my personal view.
Uncomfortable truth.
Uncomfortable truth. Because, you know, they've won titles. Ten Hag boasts and says, you know, we're the second most title winning team.
Yeah, the last 2 years.
The last 2 years, that's what he says. So, yes, not Premier League title contender, but this other, the domestic title. So if they want to still win that, they need to sort out their messes. And I know Ten Hag can't wait to have Ugarte back after the international break and just put him there.
And there's something I've noticed about Manchester United. If you look at the games they played, like for the second goal and the third goal, there's a problem I noticed with the pattern of play. When they have the ball, all the fullbacks go the next to the opponent's box, which is so wrong because by the time you lose that, because when they lost a ball, when the Casemiro loses a ball, there's no one
to cover
because they have all gone, which is so wrong. You cannot go to the opponent's ball when the ball is still on your side. You wait first till the ball at least goes jisonge mbele kidogo, then so that was very wrong. And this idea of when you lose the ball, we go to a 4-2-4 possession kind of possession. It is wrong. I don't think it is working for Manchester United.
There's a comment, or let me just say that a comment that someone made that Manchester United are one misplaced or one bad pass away from being in a 4v2.
Exactly.
You find that there's only 2 defenders left, and then you have 4 position players coming against your team.
Wow.
And that's what is happening.
It's an issue of managerial tactics.
Exactly.
I'm not really sure what Ten Hag is trying to implement, but clearly it is not working.
For me, I'm surprised he survived this long.
Yeah.
I'm also surprised that he's still here. If I was the owner, we would have gone by yesterday. But either way, we are just here we're just fans, and of course we must spot the problems. And before we finish up, I just want to thank you. I just want to thank you so much for because I know my phone is off. I don't know what the time is. The time? 10 minutes. Okay, let me hurry up.
No, not 10 minutes. Like we need to wrap now.
Oh, we need to wrap now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to thank you so much. It is an amazing show, amazing analysis from both of you, and I really pray that you'll still be here coming next Monday.
Are you trying to charm us?
I'm trying to entice you to be here. It's been amazing. Like anyone who has watched can attest to that. Thank you so much for coming in late. Don't do that again. I know I'm so happy because I've learned a lot from you people. So I'm going to give you at least a minute each to just wrap off.
All right. So who starts?
Arsenal to start because they feel like
we're on top.
No, you're not on top. Man City is.
So what nikimalizia nilikuwa nataka kusema about Liverpool is that Liverpool, I see them as a contender for this Premier League because they have a strong squad.
Before that, please talk just a second about Arne Slaughter. Do you think what has he done that the team is already jailed? Kidogo tu tachia tu hapo nyuma.
Just unajua amekuwa na little time to, of course, but pre-season is there so that you can familiarize with the team, know which player plays where and those kind of stuff. But so I think ameweza ku adjust mbio and hawaja concede. Better Liverpool is the only team yenye haija concede in these 3 games. Of course, in 3 games peke, but hawaja concede. And then ukiangalia Chiesa pia amekuja Liverpool. That attack, they have a lot of players hapo mbele. So Liverpool will be the true contenders. And then of course I want to thank all the people when you are tuning to Scoreboard. Of course na John Mingelet, but nimepata hiyo opportunity ya kuingia na ku-analyze hii game ya sports, and of course next time we'll be here same time, same place. And another thing to remind you that this show repeats every Monday after news. News at 9:30 kifika, Scoreboard inaanza repeat. So if you didn't catch this show, you can follow it. You can also follow it on Facebook and YouTube, but also in a repeat kwa TV at 9:30. So stay blessed. God bless you. Happy new month.
Wow. Kama amesema tu nilikuwa nataka kusema, but for me, I'll come back locally. Let's support the Harambee Stars because they've actually just landed in Kampala. I was looking at that brief. They've landed in Kampala, Uganda. I don't know why we are playing there. Yet we have stadiums here, and I've seen that the new CS Murkomen said that he'll open this because they are supposed to be under renovation. So okay, let us play New G, but at least let us be sure that our stadiums will be ready on time or in time. So let's give the Stars the support that they need, the starlets. Let's just love ours, and I know that eventually we'll get to that level we want to get. Kwa fans wetu wa Chelsea, take heart, hold on. The road ahead is still bumpy.
Just to finish, thank you to everyone who has tuned in to the Scoreboard. See you again next week, same time, same place. To my fellow Man United fans.
And the producer is just putting me
The
on.
road is tough. The road ahead is very tough, but we keep the faith.
Tough people don't last. Tough times don't last.
Tough people do.
We've been there before.
You'll overcome.
We're in this together.
Commiserations to you. We look forward to our next game. Hopefully Ten Hag has something in store for us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much to my dearest panel. I know, Cynthia, you're not used to being on the other side of the table.
I know.
You used to be here, so I know you've done amazingly well. Not only amazingly well, of course, when you come in, a new energy brought in. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And to our viewers, thank you so much for keeping us up with us from 2 p.m. now to almost 4 now. I don't have the right time because my phone is off.
Yeah, almost 4.
I just want to thank you so much for everyone who's contributed. I'm not checked because my phone is also off. Maybe somebody has commented. Please allow me not to do it today because I'm not able. So
I can go through them quickly.
Please do.
Yeah, nimeona comments zimeingia and kuna mwenye anaitwa Dan Kisilu. Kwanza ni one of our ni best yetu sana, amesema guys, you're doing well, amazing show. And then I think alitoa point yake hapo akisema I think Liverpool are doing well too, but Chelsea is a team to watch. Something good is been cooking in this team. I think he's saying the truth. Hata kama wako na hizo mashida. Chelsea is a team to watch this.
Dan Kisulu, you're officially.
They're cooking in an empty kitchen.
Chelsea will be unstoppable. Mark my words. Chelsea will be unstoppable. Then anasema this season, Man City, our baby EPL. Which is true.
Wow.
Yeah, they will be cancelled on 15 charges. But now, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Wa mwisho, Sami Munyasa anasema Kitengela ako tuned.
Thank you. So keep the conversation going. Just comment on still because they show so they also on Facebook. Comment. We'll be reading from them and we'll continue the discussion literally. So thank you so much to my show. I know he's watching. Gladys in Kakamega, thank you so much. I know you're watching. My uncle Juma, thank you for watching. I know you're watching. And my cousin Eric, big up sana. To my brothers and sisters, I don't have time, but I still mention what.
Lawyers are never beating the allegations, but proceed.
No, my shosh watches this.
Shosh, we love you.
We love you so much. I to Gladys Malika, thank you so much. We love you so much. See you next time, same place, same time. Be blessed. Have a nice week. Happy new month. God bless. This is Mike Odipo sitting in for Askofu.
Ciao.